This class is all about opening the chest, the shoulders, the back, and at the same time, of course, we'll still have our focus on core strength and on strengthening the upper body and the lower body all together. Make sure in this class that you listen for all the different options that are given and pick the ones that are best for your body. I want you to make sure that you're not pushing past what feels safe and right for you. Because remember, you own this video forever, which means that even if a certain pose isn't right for you today, you can make it a goal and you can keep working toward it, and eventually you'll get there. So please make sure, above all else, you listen to your body and you stay safe. And I know you're going to love this class. Let's get started. Today we're actually going to start up on our feet, facing the front edge of our mat in mountain pose. So you're just going to bring the feet right underneath the hips. Stand up nice and tall and close your eyes. We'll flip the palms to face forward, arms at our sides. And let's just start to become aware of our breathing. And as we breathe, let's see if we can stand perhaps a little taller than we were before. Starting to take the breath both in and out through the nose. Looking for that point of origin, that first rise of the inhale, last fall of the exhale. And sending it as low into the core as it is willing to go. And from there, let's go ahead and really start to think about full core breaths. Inhaling from that low point of origin and filling up the core with air. And then exhaling and drawing all that air back in to that low point. It's just a concept, an idea, right? We're just expanding and contracting the core as we breathe. So let's keep that nice big breath going. And let's begin to feel our feet connecting to the mat. So feel all 10 toes. You might even lift them, separate them, and place them back down. Feel the entire ball of each foot. Feel the inner and outer edges of the feet holding equal weight so that we're not rolling one way or the other. And then feel the entire half circle of each heel. So the feet become very much grounded and rooted to the floor, to the mat. And we're going to take that same grounded, rooted energy and send it all the way from the pelvis, down through the legs, into the feet, and into the earth. Keep that nice big core breath flowing as you feel that energy grounding you through your lower half. Now we're going to do the same thing energetically with the arms. So take a moment to wiggle your fingers, find them, become aware of all 10. And then start to reach those fingers toward the floor. Feel the energy moving all the way from the tops of your shoulders, down through your arms, through your hands, and through your fingertips toward the earth. So the energy in all four limbs is moving downward, keeping us steady and stable. And in contrast, from just above the pelvis, all the way through the center of the body, through the crown of the head, we want to lift our energy up. So while the limbs are rooting us, the torso, the neck, and the head are lifting and lengthening us. And this should give us a little bit more space to breathe that deep, deep core breath. So let's take a few more big breaths in and out. And on your next exhale, go ahead and open up your eyes and relax your arms. Good. So we're going to take the arms over the head, and we're going to lace the fingers, remembering which set of fingers kind of comes on top. For me, in this case, it feels more like my right hand. Then we're going to flip the palms to face upward toward the ceiling, and we're going to press upward through the heels of the hands, but at the same time, draw your shoulder blades down your back. And breathe. Elongating. And on your next exhale, go ahead and simply release the arms and maybe give them a little shake out. And then let's bring the arms overhead again, and this time try to lace the opposite set of fingers. I guess they really are equal. There really isn't one that's on top, but it kind of feels like one hand rests on top. So maybe try a different way of lacing to feel more even and more balanced. And then flip the palms up toward the ceiling again. Press up through the heels of the hands. And then draw the shoulder blades downward towards your waist. Breathing into your core. And then gently release your arms. We're going to warm up with a few rounds of a very simple sun salutation. Starting with the hands at heart center, feet underneath the hips, just a little bit of softness in those knees. Let's take an inhale as we reach up. Exhale, we soften the knees, lengthen the spine as we fold forward. Hands come to the shins and we lift and re-lengthen that spine. Exhale, fold back down. Stay here as you breathe, bringing the hands to the mat. We're just going to step right and then left, back to plank. Take a deep breath in here. Take an exhale, bring your knees to the mat and rock it back to child's pose. Walk the arms out in front of you as you continue to breathe. Spread your fingers out nice and wide. And then shift the weight slightly forward, curling the toes under and coming up to downward facing dog. And you know all those wonderful options that you have in down dog. The pedaling of the feet, the lifting of the heels, and the softening of the knees. If you need to, you can even rotate your torso a little bit. You can shift your hips. This is your downward facing dog to warm up, to get used to the pose for the day. And we'll take one more deep breath right here. And then we'll take an inhale, eyes forward. Exhale, step the feet forward. Inhale, hands to shins, lift and lengthen your spine. Exhale, refold. Inhale, keep the knees nice and soft as you lift up through the muscles of the back. And exhale, hands to heart. Inhaling, we lengthen, lifting to the ceiling. Exhale, soften the knees as you fold. Inhale, lift and stretch, hands to the shins or the floor. Exhale, refold. Keep breathing, soften the knees, hands to the mat. Step back left, right into your plank position. Take a nice big breath in. On the exhale, lower the knees and shift back to child's pose. Breathe here as you walk the arms out in front of you. Spread out the fingers. Shift the weight slightly forward, curl the toes, and find that downward facing dog. And again, feel free to move and breathe as much as you like as you go through these first few rounds of downward facing dog. Let's take one more deep breath here. And then we'll inhale the eyes forward, knees soft. Exhale, step the feet forward. You can always hop. Inhale as you lift and lengthen. Exhale as you refold. Inhale, sweep it up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Let's make it a little more challenging. Inhale, reach. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, lift and stretch. Exhale, refold. Take a full breath as you step it back, right, left. And then hold here. Take a nice big breath in. Exhale, shift forward. Knees can always come down. We lower ourselves to the mat. Inhale, small cobra, shoulders down. Exhale, downward facing dog. We won't hold here quite as long this time. Take a few deep breaths. Maybe start to really move the shoulders down away from the ears. And then inhale, gaze forward, soft knees. Step or hop to the front edge of your mat. Take a big breath in as you come all the way up to standing. And exhale, hands to heart. Big breath in. Exhale as you dive it down. Inhale, stretch it out. Keep a little softness in those knees. Exhale, refold. Take a full breath. Step back, left, right. Stay in your plank. Big inhale. On the exhale, shift forward. You're welcome always to bring the knees down as you lower yourself to your mat. Inhale, draw the belly up and in, shoulders down. Exhale, release. Take a full breath up to downward facing dog. We slowed it down that time a little bit so that we could really focus on the form. Hold here and breathe again, as much movement as you like. And then we'll inhale, gaze forward, soft knees. Exhale, step the feet forward. Inhale, soften the knees as you lift through your back. And exhale, hands to heart. 2 more rounds. Big breath in. Exhale, fold it down. Inhale, stretch. Exhale, release. Good. This time, let's step it back, right, left. Holding the plank. So we can do cobra just as we did before, or we can take it into upward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, shift forward, lower down, and then flip the tops of the feet to the mat. Press up and open through the chest, and then up into that downward facing dog. So on the first few, we want to take a little bit more time with those transitions. So we're not necessarily always moving on an in or out breath. We may be taking more breaths to transition, and that is totally okay. Next inhale, gaze comes forward. Exhale, feet come forward. Inhale, soft knees as you lift it up. Exhale, hands to heart. Last time, big breath in. Exhale, dive it down. Inhale, lift and stretch. Exhale, refold. Stay here. Step back, left, right. Take your time to get a good plank. Just keep breathing. And then when you're ready, inhale in plank. Exhale, shift forward. You'll notice I only lower part way before I go into my upward facing dog. That's my shoulder capacity. That's what my shoulders can do into the downward facing dog. Not everybody is going to get parallel to the floor. That's not always going to happen. So please honor your body's flexibility level. Next inhale, let's take the gaze forward, soft knees. Exhale, step to the front of the mat. Inhale, sweep it up one last time. And exhale, hands to heart center. So we're going to take the feet just a hair wider than hip width. Soften out the knees. And then just hinge over into forward fold. Let the arms hang or grab opposite elbows. Knees are still soft. And very gently turn the head side to side. Change that turning into a little nod, front to back. And then come to center and let a few deep breaths draw the head toward the floor. So we're going to keep those knees nice and soft. You could stay here, or if you like, reach your arms behind you and up toward the ceiling. So your palms could face each other, or they can start to rotate outward, opening up that chest a little bit. At the same time, we're opening up the back in the lower region. Really, the majority of the back is getting a nice stretch here. Breathe. Now, you could bring your arms down first or keep them where they are. Soften the knees significantly, almost like you're sitting in chair. Lengthen your spine and slowly come up to standing. Good. We're going to take the right leg forward and the left leg back in a warrior stance. We're going into warrior one. So shoulders and chest are facing the wall in front of us. Arms sweep up and overhead. Zip up that low core just like you would zip a zipper on a pair of pants. The back leg is turned out to the left corner of the room. The whole foot presses into the floor. And then if you like, you can open up your heart just a little bit. Relax those shoulders. Now, we're going to bring the hands to heart center. Hinge slightly forward from your hips, and then turn towards your front leg, twisting at the waist. Now you can stay right here, or you can get a little deeper in that right leg. Bring the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh and gently press for a deeper twist. Breathe. I know it's hard to breathe in a rotated position, but find those little open spots in the core and breathe into them. Let's come up, untwist, and dive down, turning the back leg to parallel. We're going to step back, finding ourselves in plank. You could always bring your knees down here. And we're going to take 4 deep breaths as we press the earth away, making sure that our chest is lying right in between our shoulders. Our spine is nice and long. And then we're going to turn to face the right wall, coming into side plank. So we'll be on our left hand, and we're just rotating the feet. So the right foot ends up in front, right arm reaches up toward the ceiling. You always have the option of taking that left knee down to the mat for extra support. Press the earth away, lift through your hips, and breathe deep into your core. Slowly turning back to that original plank. And then from there, taking a nice deep breath in and an exhale up to downward facing dog. Feel free to move here if you need it. We won't stay too long. Next inhale, we'll take the gaze forward. Step or hop to the front edge of the mat. And we're back in forward fold. So let your arms hang or grab opposite elbows. Give the head a few gentle turns. side to side. Turn that into a little nod, front to back. And then very gently hold and breathe. Allow the head to become nice and heavy. Remember, if you like, you can take those arms and reach them back behind you toward the ceiling. Palms can either face each other or they can start to turn outward. Really reaching through those arms. Knees are a little bit soft. Head is reaching toward the floor. Now remember, you can always take your hands to your thighs. We're going to soften our knees, bringing our hips down almost like chair pose. Lengthen the spine and come all the way up to standing. So this time it's our left leg that's going to come forward, our right leg that's going to step back and turn out into that warrior stance. You have to gather your balance up so we engage the core. That's what's going to help us balance. We're in warrior one, reaching overhead with the arms. Remember that your front knee is bent. Back leg is turned out to the right corner of the room. We're turning the chest toward the front wall, but we're allowing our hips to rest naturally in the stance of the warrior one. Pressing the whole back foot into the floor. Sometimes we roll a little bit inward. Hands come to heart center. Hinge that beautifully straight spine slightly forward. And then twist to the left toward that front leg. Now you could absolutely 100% stay right here. Or if you like, you're going to bend a little bit more deeply into that front leg. Hinge a little lower. And then twist a little bit more. And your right elbow is going to come just outside the leg. And then we press elbow into leg to create a deeper twist. And we hold here and we breathe. And I just want you to know that the wobble you might feel is normal. If you looked at me, you'd see me wobbling quite a bit here. Good. And then we gently untwist ourselves. And then we dive down, turning the back leg parallel. We're going to come into our plank position. You could always do this on your forearms if you wanted a little break from your wrists. And remember, it's always okay to bring those knees down. We're breathing deeply into the core, pressing the earth away. And in just a moment, we're going to turn our body to face the left wall. So we'll be on our right hand when you're ready. So the left arm will be, or left foot will be in front, right foot will be behind. We reach that left arm up toward the ceiling, and then again, we press the earth away. Lift through the hips. Feel the underside of your core engage. Breathe. Hold. And then we're going to turn it back to standard plank. Take a deep breath in right here. Exhale. Come up into that downward facing dog. Remember, downward facing dog can always become child's pose. And then let's go ahead and inhale. Gaze forward, soft knees. Step the feet forward. And we're back in forward fold. This time we're just going to place our hands on our thighs above our knees. Soften the knees themselves, lengthen through the spine, and gently come up to standing. Now you can stay facing the same way you are unless you're inhibited by a wall or something near you. I'm going to go ahead and turn to face you just so that you can see. So we're going to take a stance that is wider than the width of our mat if you're still facing that short edge. Our legs are not a forced parallel, but they're not turned out yet, so they are more of a parallel position stance. We're going to go ahead and soften our knees, stand up nice and tall, and then just hinge over into this wide-legged version of forward fold. Arms can come down in front of us. Once you're in your fold, feel free to lift your hips up toward the ceiling. That doesn't mean you have to straighten your legs. It just means you're lifting and listening to your hamstrings. And if you get to a straight leg, awesome. Weight is centered right in the middle of the foot. So it's not really in the balls or the heels, but right in the middle. So what we're going to do is take our right hand and place it right underneath our head, right in the center of this stance. And then we're going to lift the left arm up toward the ceiling as we twist to the left. And then you're slowly going to push through your right arm until your arm lengthens, as does your spine. And we're still twisting to the left, and we're breathing. So we're getting a lot of twisting in this sequence as well, which is said to be detoxifying. Make sure you drink a lot of water after this class. And then gently release back down into your forward fold. If your hamstrings and calves need a stretch break, you can always soften your knees. Center the weight, and then take that left hand, place it right underneath your head, right in the center of the stance. Reach the right arm up toward the ceiling, twisting the upper body, and then press into the left hand until the arm is long, and then lengthen the spine and increase the twist. So you can use the pressing of the hand down into the mat to create more rotation as well. And just let your hips travel with you. They don't have to stay completely still or 100% square. That can actually lead to injury when we try to force things like that. Good. And then when you're ready, go back to that forward fold. Soften the knees, place the hands on the thighs, lengthen out the spine, and gently come up to standing. So we did that in more of a parallel stance. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the legs out. And you want to turn all the way from the hip. So your thighs and your knees and your toes are all pointing in the same direction. And you can check that by softening your knees and just making sure that the knees and toes are hitting the same angle. And then we're going to come down into goddess pose. So you can kind of shimmy as you come down, lower and lower in those legs. You want your knees to sit right on top of your heels. We're still fairly upright. If you need a little bit of a hinge just to accommodate tightness in the hips, totally okay. And then what you're going to do is take your hands out in front of you, kind of like you're making a square, a 90-degree angle with each elbow. And then you're going to take your left hand or left arm, bring it underneath your right. Take the fingers of your left hand to the palm of your right, and then lift your elbows and slide your shoulders downward. And then melt down into those legs and hold and breathe. Now, if this is too much for the upper back and the back of the shoulder, just bring the backs of the hands together. So you undo that finger to palm wrap. Good. And then as we release the arms, we're going to inhale, come all the way up out of the legs. Exhale, come back down into your legs. Bring those arms back up, make those 90-degree angles. And this time you're going to take your right arm, bring it underneath your left, and then take the fingers of the right hand to the palm of the left. Lift the elbows and slide the shoulders downward. And then remember, if you need to, just unwrap the hands. And you can keep the elbows wrapped. Keep moving the shoulders downward. Breathe into those legs. They should be getting some heat. You might be feeling a little bit of a burn. So we are getting stronger. And then as we release the arms, let's take a big inhale up. We don't need to go back into the legs. We're just going to exhale, hands to heart center. And turn to step the front edge of your mat to the front edge of your mat if you turned around like I did. Let's take a half sun salutation down to the mat. So let's take an inhale up and exhale, fold. And inhale, reach and stretch. And exhale, refold. Hold here. Soften the knees, fingers meet the mat. Let's take the knees down and let's find a quick child's pose. Not too quick. Hips to heels, arms placed wherever it feels comfortable for you. Few deep breaths here. And then we're going to come up to our knees and we're going to play a little bit with camel pose. So if you know you need a little extra cushion underneath your knees, this would be a great moment to pause and grab a blanket or a towel, or if you have that pillow that we've been using, you could put that underneath your knees just to cushion you, especially if you're on a hard surface. So we're going to start on our knees. The knees are right underneath your hips, and your feet are hip width apart, with the tops of the feet turned down toward the floor. So to start, we're just going to think about, even though we're standing on our knees, not on our feet, we're going to think about standing tall. And you're just going to make a fist with each hand. And then you're going to place those fists right at the top of the hips. So just below your waist, before you get to the rounded portion of your seat. Start to draw your elbows towards center. You'll feel your chest open. And then use the fists to gently press down, which may feel like it brings your pelvis underneath you just a little bit. We're not really going into a tuck, but we're just drawing the tailbone down toward those knees. From here, we're going to open up the chest and the front body. And you continue to press the fists into the upper hip and down a little bit so that we don't end up sticking our rear ends out behind us. We want to keep the seat right over the knees. And breathe. Now, you can stay right here, or if you like, you can take your right hand and bring it to your right heel. The left arm reaches overhead. We open up the chest and the whole front body. We will not stay here too long. Let's come all the way up and just come back to that upright position where from the knees you're standing really tall. Make your fists. Place each fist at the top of each hip, just below the waist. Draw the elbows inward, opening the chest. And then start to press gently down through your fists so that your tailbone is moving towards your knees. Open up the chest. It could be a really small bend. And then as we feel more comfortable and our flexibility increases, we can start to take it deeper. If you feel like it, and again, this may just be a goal for now, we take that left hand to the heel, we reach the right arm over the head, and we feel the whole front body opening up here. Breathing. So if this were to feel really awful on your low back, I would go back to the previous version. Let's gently come up and let's find a child's pose. And I'm going to suggest you wrap your arms around your body so that your hands come back by your feet and that you just let your body release and soften. So if you feel a lot of discomfort in camel in your low back, I would check to make sure that you're not trying to stick your tailbone behind you, but rather keep driving the tailbone toward the knees, and that will help to protect your low back. And remember, it doesn't have to be a big arch to start. That can be a goal that we work toward as our core gets stronger. So let's go ahead and bring it all the way down to our stomachs. So you're going to come down, initially with your hands underneath your forehead. And as we always do when we arrive here, we're going to take a moment to enjoy it because it feels good. So don't feel like you have to hold your body in any particular position. Just relax it. Breathe. start to organize your legs. So just curl your toes under so that you can turn the tops of your thighs and your knees straight down toward the floor. And then you can release the tops of the feet back to the mat. Take your pelvis and anchor it into the floor. Another way of looking at it, as we've done before, is to think about taking your tailbone to the wall that's behind you. This should feel very similar to what you just did in camel pose. So we're going to try to keep the pelvis anchored as we draw the right heel in toward the hips. So this is option one. Right here, we're going to be opening up through the front body again. Opening in the hip, in the thigh. Now, option two, we take the right hand, we reach it behind us. We walk the fingertips and the palm to the top of the foot. And then we gently draw the heel straight down. So the knee is pointing straight to the back edge of your mat. The heel is coming straight down. And we're still breathing and we're still anchoring that pelvis. Now option three, we press the top of the foot into the hand, which is going to lengthen the arm. And then we keep pressing until the thigh begins to hover. Breathing still. And then the last option is to also press into your left hand, lifting your chest and your gaze into half bow. And you're still pressing the top of the foot into the hand. That's key here. And then we release. Take the hands underneath the forehead. So as you repeat this class and you get more familiar, you can go straight to half bow. So just remember that you can progress with the class. Anchor the pelvis, curl the left heel in, stay here as you keep breathing and pressing the pelvis into the mat. So remember, if you've done this class multiple times, you can skip all this and go straight, slowly, albeit, into the pose that you know you want to reach. So let's take the left hand back as an option. Walk the fingertips and the palm to the top of the foot, and then very gently start to draw straight down. So we want to make sure when we do this, the knee doesn't start to move outward or inward. It points directly to the back edge of your mat. Heel comes straight down, so we don't want to pull it out to the side, nor do we want to pull it in. Straight down. And then if you like, press the top of the foot into the hand, which is going to lengthen the arm, and then keep pressing and you'll feel your thigh begin to hover away from the mat. Keep breathing. Now last option, press into the right hand, right arm, lift the head, lift the chest, and then keep pressing that foot into the arm and breathing here. Good. And release. So let's take a moment just to enjoy the floor. Take a deep breath in, a deep breath out. Take the hands underneath the shoulders, press up and back, find child's pose. This time let's walk the arms out in front of us, spread those fingers out nice and wide. So in a moment, I'm going to take you through a sequence that leads into pigeon. And I just want to say, if you get into pigeon and you realize that it is not the thing for you yet, that it's just a little too intense, I'm also going to show you something called figure 4, which you may already know, and it is a wonderful precursor to pigeon. So let's take one more breath here as we walk the hands out, spread the fingers. And then let's shift the weight slightly forward, curling the toes under, and let's find downward facing dog. And you might feel, just as much as you did at the beginning of class, that you need a little bit of movement here, maybe a little bit of shifting through your hips just to release. We've done a lot of hard work. Make sure you feel really anchored through your arms. Your shoulders are pressing down. Let's take the right leg, let's lift it up, three-legged dog as we look forward. And then what you're going to do is pull your right knee into your chest as you come down into a rounded plank. So we've rounded the back like cat, and we're scooping the knee into the chest. Now from here, you're going to turn the shin parallel to the heels of your hands, and then you're going to start to walk your back leg behind you as you lower your hips down to the mat. So the hips are square, the back toes are curled under. People tend to dump themselves into pigeon really fast, and they miss a lot of what makes pigeon so valuable. So as the toes are curled under, we square the hips off, and we press through the back heel, and we really have a chance to open up so much. Plus we're getting stronger in the upper body. And then we can gently release the back knee down. Release the top of the foot, but make sure you don't start to shift over to the right and open up. Now, everybody's got different level of flexibility here. I can come to my forearms, but I can't go any farther than that. Some people can fold themselves forward. If you can, that's wonderful. Feel free to do that. But again, I'm trying to stay square, honor what the pose is supposed to do for me, and honor the tightness in my body at the same time. So we're breathing deep breaths. And then we're going to go ahead and come back up onto our hands, curl the back toes under, lift the back knee, come back into that downward facing dog. I completely forgot to show you the figure 4. So let's come down to our knees, and then let's come to a seated position. And I just want to really quickly, this can just give you a little break. Maybe you can stretch a little bit. Want to show you the figure 4. You're going to come down onto your back, cross one ankle over the opposite thigh, and then bring the knees up into the chest. It's going to open up the same region in the lower body, take all the pressure off of your upper body, and it's a great precursor again. So your stretching is wrapping up, and we're going to flip the legs around and come back to our downward facing dog. We keep it nice and real here, so sometimes we forget things, and then we remember and we put them back in. So we find that downward facing dog, we get nice and solid in those arms, we're reaching. And when you're ready, we inhale, sweep the left leg up as we look forward. And then you're going to exhale, pull the left knee in toward the chest, round your back like you're coming into cat pose. Scoop the knee toward the chest, you're still breathing. And then turn your leg, send your shin forward toward the heels of the hands as you begin to shimmy the right leg behind you. Toes are still curled under. We're squaring off our hips. We're pressing through that back heel. Now I'm a little bit tighter on this side, so I need to take a little bit more time, which you may as well, to lower myself down. Remember, you can always stay here if you're super tight in this elevated position. If you can, gently release the knee, gently release the top of the foot. Now, I'm not going to fold on this side, but you are welcome to. You can come down to your forearms, or you can fold all the way down if that works for your body. And we just hold and we breathe, remembering our figure 4 as an option, remembering not to shift to the left side. And then when you're ready, you're going to come back up to your hands, curl your back toes under, go ahead and press up, step into your downward facing dog. It is the last one of the entire class. Move in any way that you see fit. And then when you're ready, we will gently lower our knees to the mat. Find one last child's pose. Arms can go wherever you want them to go. I'm going to wrap mine around me. Take all the pressure off of my shoulders and breathe. And then let's bring the hands underneath the shoulders. Draw the belly up in toward the spine. Gently roll up and swing the legs around in front of you. So we're just going to bring the soles of the feet together, taking the hands underneath the ankles, finding our sitting bones underneath us so that we can sit up nice and tall, and then gently hinging forward. Breathing, keeping the length in our spine for the moment. Spines. And then if you like, feel free to round forward. Release your head, release your neck. So feel free to repeat this particular position one more time if you like. Otherwise, we're going to try something a little fun and funky. You may see me fail in this, but it is only through failure that we grow and we learn, so it's totally okay. Let's gently come up. So what you're going to do is you're going to take the weight into your pelvis. Right now I'm kind of sitting just behind my sitting bones, and then you're going to loop your hands underneath your calves. Bring the soles of the feet together. So now our legs are up off the floor, and then you're going to lengthen through your spine and hold here. If you like, you can bring the index and the thumb pads together. Close your eyes and breathe deeply into your core. Keep lengthening your spine. So if you feel yourself collapsing and starting to round, you can kind of pull the arms into the legs and focus on length. We'll take one more breath here. I practiced this and I fell out of it a whole bunch. That's why you're seeing me do a good job with it now, because I already learned quite a bit. And then gently come down, unwrap your hands. Let's take the legs out in front of us. Maybe you rock your sitting bones underneath you a few times. You could always sit on your pillow or whatever prop of choice that you use to accommodate tight hamstrings. And then let's sit up tall. Walk that length forward. Again, you can always look at me if you walk forward and you think, well, I didn't really go anywhere. Initially, you don't, because we've got a tight back often, we've got tight hamstrings. And then as we breathe and the exhales soften us, we're able to go a little bit farther. And then if you like, you can round and walk your way out. So we have a couple options here. You could take the hands to the outsides of your calves and press inward on your legs and then draw yourself a little bit deeper into the stretch. You can do the same with the hands on the outsides of your feet, and from time to time it's helpful just to walk your sitting bones back a little bit. And then there's one more option. You can take your palms underneath your feet. So the heel of the hand is going to rest underneath the toes, and then the palm and the fingers come down into your ball and arch. And then you're going to push the balls of the feet into the hand. Keep breathing. Feel those shoulder blades drawing up and out a little bit. Feel the stretch through the back, through the arms. And gently release the feet if you use them. Release the hands. Draw the belly in and slowly roll up. Good. We are going to come all the way down onto our backs. So we're just going to finish with a gentle spinal twist. Arms come out to the sides. Shoulder blades press down into the mat. Go ahead and take the hips and the legs one way. Turn the head in the opposite direction. And breathe. So like I said, in addition to this being very much an opening class, an opener type class, This was also somewhat of a detoxifying class, so please make sure you drink a lot of water for the rest of the day. Let's gently come up and we'll go the other way. Hips and legs go one way. Head turns in the opposite direction. Close your eyes and breathe. Go ahead and gently come up. Realign your spine. Legs can reach out long. Let them fall open so feet are about double hip width or a little less. Arms come down to the sides, palms up. We take those shoulder blades and walk them down the mat. Relax the neck and come back into that nice deep breath. Reconnect with that low point of origin as far as your breath is concerned. It is said to be far more restful and grounding to breathe low into the belly than it is to breathe high up in the chest. So send that breath down, and remember, from that point of origin, then you can fill everything up and draw back in. But we want the breath always to kind of sit and originate from a nice low point. The body did a lot of work today, so our sole goal here is just to allow the body to soften. We'll take deep breaths. Allow ourselves to sink down into the floor. Please stay here as long as you can. And I will see you in another class.